All right. Now, the other thing I wanna briefly bring up is like I feel like I owe an apology because in a recent episode we talked about incels and MGTOW, which also I don't want to conflate them, but mainly the MGTOW crowd got very mad at us.
The MGTOW and the red pill. It's mainly MGTOW, I think.
Yeah. And so they got mad at us because of the things we said, and I have to say, I said that they have strong, upset toddler energy, and I feel like I need to apologize to toddlers everywhere because if you look at the comments they left, it's like at least toddlers aren't racist,
Guys, so I'm going to put this clip in the description of this video on YouTube and also in the show notes. But yeah, I put a clip up of the most recent, as of this moment, podcast episode. We were talking about, MGTOW, men go their own way, red pill, that kind of thing. And then within an hour, there was just comment central. It was like the dislike to like ratio on the clip itself was just astronomically favored towards dislike. And I was like, what's going on here? Yeah. And I thought, did we get it wrong? And then I read some of the most horrifically poorly worded comments, and they're just like severely angry, like people. Yeah. And I thought, who's in the wrong here? And it kind of proves Shane right in a way. Shane basically just went on a clip and called them all a bunch of angry toddlers, and they responded very maturely.
Yeah. But to be fair, look, okay, I am poking the hornet's nest here some more, right? But look, to be fair. So first of all, if you go and look there, some of the worst comments have been removed. So
did we remove them? Because
some of them just disappeared.
They disappeared because I read the notification, and one of them was just extremely racist. Yeah. And I was like, well, that was gone pretty quickly.
That must have been filtered out or something. Yeah. But yes, so. But you can see. But also, to be fair, right? Okay, I'm poking fun, but to be fair, a couple of things I want to say about this are that. There's at least one comment that where clearly someone is like trying to make an attempt at like educating us about this. There are many who are just like, who are basically just proving the point.
We got called blue pill betas.
I know, right? It's like, and the funny thing about that is a lot of these comments, and that's one of the paradoxical things about the internet and like internet bubbles. A lot of these comments are not addressed at us. They're addressed at the other people in that tribe. So it's like you go and leave a comment to be like, hey guys, look, I'm one of you. Look, I told them. And it's this, the blue pill beta thing is, I just imagine someone being like, oh, I called these guys on the internet betas. That's an alpha male thing to do, right? Am I an alpha male now?
Do you accept me?
Yeah. So anyway, no. So for the person who called us blue pill betas, you're definitely an alpha male. Don't worry about it. But anyway, the thing I wanted to say is that there was at least one comment who tried to explain what was going on, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And also, I think this comment also mentioned like, look, of course, in every community you'll have like crazies, and it's unfair to judge the community by their crazies, and I also agree with that. And so I don't want to, that would be easy to do, right? And this would be the internet thing to do, is like you pick out the dumbest comments and you dunk on them,
Yeah, that's the reaction videos and stuff.
But I actually, and I don't want to do that because also I don't want to, kind of judge the entire community by like the most knuckle dragging members they have who came out and left a comment and a dislike, to feel empowered. But I also want to say that one of the problems, and this is not a MGTOW specific problem or anything, this is a general problem, like an epistemic problem we have, is that, of course, the defense, there's various justifications. And one of the ideas, and this is true for pretty much any community, right? They will basically tell you, no, you're wrong. And look, we have all this data, we have all this proof that shows that we are the rational ones. And I think any ideology, no matter how crazy, is built around a bunch of kernels of truth. Right? There's always some kernels of truth somewhere, sometimes buried in the madness somewhere. And I'm aware of that. Like the men's rights movement, they do have, there are kernels of truth there where it's like, yeah, that's true. Like you can't deny that. And things like, just as an example, right? Almost all of the most dangerous jobs in the world are done by men. And suicide rates are way higher for men than for women. And in things like family court, when it comes to divorce and so on, almost everywhere in the world, men are at a disadvantage. Stuff like that. This is true.
Yeah.
And it's also true that, and I think that's where a lot of the anger comes from. There's a lot of men are kind of told the opposite, right? We grow up with the story of like, oh, it's the women who are always oppressed, women who are always the victims, and so on. And if that's the story you're told, and then you are on the victim side of one of these systems that disadvantages men, and obviously that makes you very mad, right? But it's not enough. It's not enough, right? It's not enough to just say, well, there are some things about this that are true, and therefore, accept this ideology. It's the same reason why I generally reject religion, because when you reject religion, it's the same kind of argument that gets made. But it helps people, it gives people comfort and meaning. And what about, here's in this massive book, I found this one thing that, kind of isn't this a good point? So shouldn't you accept the entire thing? No, it's not enough. It's not enough. You have to look at the totality of it. And with something like MGTOW, I think that the totality of it is, it's not something that I want in my life. And I think that it is one, like the cons outweigh the pros ultimately. For the goal of becoming the best human being you can be, I think that going into something that's so much fueled by bitterness and that has this stance of push the thing that hurt me further and further away. That's not how I want to deal with things that are difficult in my life.
One of the comments did address that by saying that in that video, what you and Abby focused on was the bitterness and resentfulness.
Yeah.
And one of these comments addresses that by saying this is what's commonly known as the rage stage, where when someone first takes the red pill or starts or supposedly is exposed to these new truths about the way women are and the way women in society are and all this other stuff, he will be enraged by it. But the comment basically says that that's a stage, that's like a phase that passes, and eventually it forms this acceptance of the way the world is, and it's no longer bitter or resentful anymore. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I can imagine. But then, my first thought goes to the attention economy and that whole machine, where the rage stage is how you get attention, right? The rage stage is there as a lead generation mechanism that get people angry and send them down rabbit holes of stuff that make them more and more angry, right? And so, why do you have a rage stage as your recruitment tool, And I know that I'm not even accusing the people in the MGTOW community because they didn't create it. The algorithm created it.
I was just about to address that. Yeah. So what you're saying is that it's you can't. All these MGTOW people that are commenting and shit, just with loads of angry comments, you can't be angry at those people, because it's if you looked back at their entire history, what led them to this point where they're getting angry, you'd see probably a breakup, some issues with women or something, and then you'd see one video that got their full attention for the whole thing. They're saying, look, you're not the problem, and it's shit. And then the algorithm was clocked onto it and was this guy loves this video. Here's more videos.
Here's more of this,
and he obviously wants to feel better because he's been hurt. So he feels it feels like a sense of empowerment. It's Dan, I'm in control of this shit. And it's you keep watching it, and next thing you know, it just, the phrase that you used in the clip itself was radicalization pathway.
Yeah.
And I think that was a pretty cool phrase. So he goes down this radicalization pathway, eventually becomes a MGTOW, renounces women and all this other stuff.
And so that's just what happens. Again, I'm not mad at anyone for this. That's just one of the things that happens, unfortunately, to lots and lots of people. And another thing is, the question I would have is, okay, if there's the serene, now you live a better life stage at the other end of it, is the kind of belief of love is not real. Women are incapable of love. She's not your girlfriend. It's just your turn to be used by her. Is that still true? Do you still believe that I'm now enlightened as a MGTOWer on the other side? Because if it is, then I think you're still missing the point.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just, I wonder, man. I do wonder, because do you reach that point and are you really happy? Are you really happy? It's more financial independence. Yeah, cool. I am I do my own thing all the time. You can do all that, sure.
Lots of freedom.
Lots of freedoms, lots of unabashed freedom. You got no wife, you got no kids, you got nothing like bothering you. But then what? So you're 45. What are you gonna do? Because obviously we talked about the Harvard study you and Abby did in the last episode of the strongest predictor of longevity and life satisfaction was person's relationships. Yeah. And how much do you have to push away?
Yeah. And and another thing I want to say, right? And I'm also talking about all this. I don't know if any more MGTOWers will see any of this stuff, right? But I also want to talk about this from the context of like an epistemic context of how do you navigate the world? How do you navigate the world's ideologies and so on? I just want to share some of my thoughts on this.
Epistemic meaning what's true.
Yeah, the epistemology being the question of how do we know what we know, or how can we determine if anything is true or what is true. Because that's it, right? It's like we have a disagreement, right? The MGTOW crowd, they say this set of things is true, and I'm here saying, well, maybe not, right? So it's an epistemic conflict, basically. And one thing that I think is actually valuable about this kind of thing is being willing to question the most fundamental things, such as everybody tells you, okay, what you do is you enter into a monogamous relationship, and you have kids, and you buy a house, and this is so ingrained as the thing that you do that most of us just never question it. For most of us, it's a question of when. Like, when are you getting married? Not are you getting, when are you going to have kids? How many are you going to have?
It's true, yeah.
And being willing to question that entirely, be like, hold on, maybe my ideal life recipe doesn't include any of that stuff. I think that's cool.
That's the basic ikario principle.
Yeah.
It's like just questioning the prevailing sort of narrative.
Totally, yeah.
So it's like, and that's one thing. So yeah, I am going to publish this clip.
Yeah. Put MGTOW in the title. So maybe
MGTOW in the title. So maybe they come back and we can say. So we are categorically saying that we're not angry at you if you're watching this and you're part of MGTOW and you're like, yeah. And we're also not blaming you. It's like what we're seeing here is like a result of essentially the algorithm, which is something that we determine is part of the human zoo and a real source of the problem, of many of the problems that we face, both with our attention and this issue we keep seeing with like sort of conspiracy theories and stuff.
Yeah.
So
anyway, and I appreciate people who actually, whatever it is you do, if you argue back or if you poke fun back, I think that's all good,
Bring it on. Honestly, yeah. Let's do that.